Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Frizz and the Grizz podcast. My name is Trudeau. As always, joined by my good friend and co-host, D. Frizz himself. What's up, dude?
What it do, baby? Happy Monday. Holy shit. What a week. What a week to wrap up. What a weekend to even end everything. Whew. Lot going on this week. Last 7 days have been incredible. We'll say that.
Dude, we started this endeavor a month and a half ago, and we were just begging for topics to talk about. We were talking about reruns of everything you've heard on ESPN, but now we're at the point of the sports calendar where there's just too much. We can't cover it all today.
Yeah, for an hour long show, hour and a half if we get on a run. Um, it's weird that we don't have enough time to talk about everything that we would love to talk about. But table it, and eventually it'll come back up. I would imagine at some point.
Yeah, we were talking pre-show. Like I'm pretty gassed on the NBA midseason tournament, but again, that's something we'll save for next week. I think this week we're going to just be pretty much all football. So either college football, NFL, because obviously there was a lot of action in college football, and
Yeah.
then this week was the opening week, full week of NFL football. So it was wild, man.
Yep. Week one is always the best week, for the NFL because there's a lot of teams that even if they're not top notch like Super Bowl contenders, they'll bite you in the ass. They'll catch a lot of teams off guard because they're ready for it. This is essentially their best chance to prove that they can do something this season. You get a team like, I hate to throw it out there, but you get a team like the Jets. They start off 0-2, 0-3.
It's a
The
wrap.
season's done. Yeah, the season's over. There's really no coming back from that with just a team that's just doesn't historically have the momentum to shift their season around. But you get a team like the Giants can, knock off the Titans. It's just like stuff like this can happen in week one. Any given Sunday, literally for everything that's out there. But like when we saw what happened in week one for the NFL, it just makes me so happy that the NFL is back. It's just
Yeah, so
great.
stick with us. We're going to get to the NFL stuff in a little bit. We're also going to do a Frizz's 5. Obviously, it's a staple of the show where, our D is going to rank some stuff. And then we're going to end with some viewer calls again because I thought that went really well last time. We appreciate you guys in the chat and that following us. Call us and give us your opinions. For the viewer calls this week, I think we're going to focus on the Patriots-Dolphins game because I know, we're primarily the audiences in the New England area. So I'm pretty sure everyone has some strong opinions on that. And before we actually get into the show, I do want to thank you guys, the listeners, for your continued support. We see the numbers, we see the podcast growing. We appreciate it. Remember, just help us out a little more. If you are following the show, hit that rating button, give us a 5-star. As Bomani would say, if you give us a 4-star, you're a hater. So give us that 5-star review, give us a comment, and appreciate the continued support. So D, let's get right into it because I know you were watching the college slate really hard this week, and we want to start with one game in particular that we both kind of watched here and there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the country watched it because this is usually the area where Texas is playing Oklahoma. The Red River rivalry is usually the beginning of the season with the whole shift in conferences and everybody going different ways. Like they filled it in with Bama, Texas on the road, and it couldn't have been a better atmosphere for those guys down in Austin. It's tough the way that the game wound out, but we still got to watch a great game. Bryce Young didn't show up to being the Bryce Young that we expected, the Heisman, trophy winner, until like midway through the third, fourth quarter. There's some momentum shiftings, calls that I don't agree with. Did you see what happened down in the end zone in the third quarter?
So I think I saw bits and pieces of that, but you were explaining to me before the show, right? So it was a controversial penalty call?
Yeah, so tied up, right? 10-10, all the momentum is on UT's side because, again, it's tied 10-10, right? And Bama's backed up to like their 2-yard line. Bryce Young takes the snap, takes, 3-step drop, goes to his left, and he gets absolutely demolished. I'm talking like 4 or 5 UT defenders are just there. And he's on his back, throwing the ball from like elbow, like his hands on the ground as he's throwing, right? Gets it off. For some weird reason, 3 referees throw about 100 flags. And they're like, oh, he's definitely roughing the passer. And then even worse, targeting. How? It was either one of them. The man had the ball, so I don't know how you can have a roughing the passer while he's still throwing the ball. More importantly, how it's targeting when it didn't involve a headshot. So I was completely lost. Not only did that happen, but as the referees are trying to see if they're kicking this kid out of the game for this tackle, you're like, wait a minute, how is this not intentional grounding, right? He's literally on his back throwing the ball like he's doing a somersault. And then the referees were like, hey guys, sorry, we made the wrong call. It's not targeting. Not only is it not targeting, it's not roughing the passer, 4th down. And they just forgot that he threw it from his back and it's not a safety.
Do you ever feel like in those situations where the referees are unsure of how to make the call, that they end up by just saying, well, we can't just make something up at this point, so we're just going to say, screw it, just play on, essentially. Because I feel like that's a scenario
Yeah.
where there were a million different interpretations of what happened, and then at the end of the day, they were just like, we really can't go either way, so we're just going to say no penalty, just
Replay.
play.
Oh, not
Yeah,
even replay. Just
just take it. Yeah,
the play
go
just
away.
didn't happen. It just
Yeah,
went from third to fourth down. And the part I wouldn't be surprised if that happened because they brought in their referee and like a referee analysis guy. You know how like Gene Steratore will come in for the
yeah.
NFL? They did that for college. Their, the SEC head referee comes in. He's like, well, yeah, this is technically targeting because of the new rule with college football. A throw in motion is considered roughing the passer and it's considered targeting. So he's explaining why this is a flag. And then the announcers are like, he's throwing off of his back. What do you want the defender to do? Do you want me to just leave him alone? All right,
Right.
cool. And then he gets up and throws a 90-yard touchdown pass. I don't get it. And then they just get up and they're like, sorry, folks, of everyone down in Texas, no calls.
So
Fourth down. And I was like, what?
that would have been a safety if they had
Yeah.
ruled him down, which was it would have been a huge difference in the game because Alabama won by 2 points in the end. They drove the length of the field on such a silly mistake. The Texas defender had a blitz on the quarterback and had him wrapped up, completely went for the hit stick and didn't wrap up.
Mhm.
And they made a completion to get them in field goal range after that. So Texas had this thing wrapped up. It was a really interesting game, and I saw a stat, and I think we both commented on this earlier in our private chat, this was the worst, I believe, game for Alabama, potentially under Nick Saban for penalties. I don't know what the exact total was, but
17.
17 for, I don't know what the number was. It was crazy. That was like the real difference in the game for Alabama, was they were very undisciplined, and the penalties were not. They're good penalties and bad penalties, right? There are silly penalties where you're grabbing face masks, grabbing shoulder pads, things that are avoidable, and it was a lot of those type of penalties for Alabama.
Yeah, I said it. I said it to you. I've said it to so many people, and then they threw up the stat after because again, I've been watching, and big shouts to Black Medic for checking in because it definitely is something that's like a kick in the ass that will start the Bama again. The SEC teams, it's usually week 4 or 5 that they get into their divisional games, and then they're ramped up by then. And then when it comes to
That's a weird thing this year because traditionally you see like the Georgia, who I don't remember who they played this past week. They played another cupcake, but you see the SEC teams start with some really mediocre competition and work their way into the season. I was surprised to see Alabama play Texas week 2. I mean, Texas. The thing is about Texas is the past. It felt like a decade at this point, but for the past 7-8 years, they have been sort of a cupcake team. But to go into a team like that on the road, like you said, and play them, it's uncharacteristic of Alabama early in the season, and it's probably something they don't want to do in the future, it seems like.
Yeah, and the reason why they do that is because those SEC teams, that's their season, is the division. Like they have to go through the brutal. I mean, Bama's got to face. We'll talk about it again, but Bama's got to face the likes of LSU, A&M, and Auburn.
Let's get LSU out of that.
I'm just throwing the names out because it doesn't matter what their records are. They're always going to play each other tough. And those 3 games, like I said, A&M, LSU, Auburn, however there's years where Auburn. Well, yeah, we know what happened to them.
We'll that a little bit.
Yeah, like there are years where Auburn is literally 4-6, and then like they can come up and bite Bama in the ass because it's just that style of game every single year. It's their Super Bowl, it's their championship. They're showing up for the Iron Bowl. So it was good that it happened. Bama definitely needed it. I just think, again, like I said to you offline and to everybody that I was able to text message over the weekend, I appreciate you guys for at least tuning in to hear because you don't want to talk about it. The most undisciplined Alabama team I have ever seen since watching college football, literally 20 plus years. I've never seen them play like that. I hope that they can turn it around because I don't want to see Bama like that. I like to see Bama, at least if you're going to play a close game, let it be a close game. I don't want to see Bama that's like seeing the Patriots with 20 flags. It's just not normal.
That's
so
what
I don't like seeing it.
I was going to ask you, and I think you alluded to this just now. Is this more of a Texas thing or an Alabama thing? So is this more of Texas getting over the hump and being a competitive team once again, or is this more of Alabama slipping up and their traditional excellence dropping? Like, who is this more on?
The latter. This isn't even a slight to Alabama because they're going to produce every single year. It's just Alabama. look at the last 2 drafts that they lost for wide receiver depth. Oh my Lanta. Like the kid that's out in Philly right now, Devontae Smith,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Waddle's gone. I mean, you could just rip off a ton of names of
Your guy Matt
absolute.
Jones.
Yeah, stop. I'm talking about wide receivers.
I know.
So their offense, it is still going to be there, but there's no clear cut like he's the best receiver, he's the best running back at Alabama right now. It's
Mhm.
just Bryce Young. So it's going to happen. They'll turn it around. They always do. It's Alabama. I'm not worried about it. It's just if there was a game that was going to clip them, that I always say there's always one. This was it, and Texas blew it. I think Texas lost this more than Alabama won it.
Seattle up 7-0 right now.
Nice.
Home
Live
dog.
updates for those that are listening live. We will give you live updates to these. Don't ruin it too much though, because I'm streaming everything.
All right,
So
my
the
bad.
same
My
way
bad.
that you ruined the LSU game for me. Save me, please,
I'll
man. Like
save it. I'll save it.
I stream everything.
And I think Alabama got extra lucky in the fact that it was so close, and they were playing essentially against a second string quarterback because the Texas quarterback, I believe he got hurt late in the second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the second string quarterback also got hurt. So
yeah. So
they were literally down to like 25% of a
and
quarterback playing.
once
Third
their
string.
quarterback went out, Texas that is, their offense was just completely stifled. They couldn't really
Yep.
do much. So Alabama definitely got lucky and they squeaked out a victory. I will say this from Alabama, I think it's correctable. I believe in Nick Saban as a coach. I think he's the greatest college coach of all time. You can argue that with him, but whatever. I think he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest coach of all time in college. I think that the penalties that really hurt them are correctable.
Mhm.
I would not want to be an Alabama player this week in practice because it's going to suck.
I don't know who their schedule is next week, but I don't want to be them,
So,
especially if it's like a D1 AA, like we need to beat up on somebody. That's when they'll put up 90. Whatever the spread is, take the over because they're definitely gonna blow them out. I don't even know who they're playing, but they're gonna throw up 70 next week. Mark my words.
and also, this it was a win, but it felt like a loss. It dropped them one position in the standings now, but by the time the season wraps up,
Not
it's
gonna
just going to
remember
look
it.
like a W on the calendar. So if you're going to have this bad loss, or I'm viewing it as a loss. If you're going to have this bad win, have it now. And by the way, let's just say our prayers for LA Monroe, University of Louisiana Monroe, because they're playing Alabama next.
Oh yeah.
They're
I
about
mean,
to
if I'm the starting quarterback, I all of a sudden tweaked an ankle because
listen.
they're gonna come out and try to rip those guys' heads off.
We don't do betting on this show, but listen, I would take Alabama and give all the points next week because they're gonna whoop on
Oh
ULM.
yeah.
They're not
I
gonna
don't
take
know
that
if they'll
W.
hang 100, but it's gonna be close. It's gonna be one of those scores where you're like cutting the lawn, you pull out your phone, you're like, oh my god, somebody put up 80 points. Like it's gonna catch everybody off guard. What happens this Saturday?
At least 60 for Alabama. All right, so we touched on Alabama. We touched on another upset that happened in college football. So there was actually 3 huge upsets that we want to just quickly touch on. I'll let you pick and choose where you want to go first. D, what do you got?
Start with the down here in the NC area. I'm going App State and A&M. Love the fact that everybody around here was ecstatic that App State was able to pull off this dub. I called A&M to be in my sleeper team in the championship this year, and it's gone by the wayside. I don't think there's a recovery from that. We saw what happened to Michigan. They never recovered when they lost from Appalachian State. So I didn't expect it. Norman is a hell of an area to play in, and they lost at home. So kudos to App State. They didn't show up, as an A&M team ranked 6th. Like that's a game you cannot let slip through your hands when you're
You're
supposed to rank
familiar
high.
with that area since you're down there now.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see all the shade the Texas A&M players were throwing at App State the day before? So they have this thing, I forget the name, but essentially it's like a rally before every game, and the
Yep.
players come out and they're like on microphone and try to rally up the fans. Pretty much saying that if you go to Appalachian State, you have 3 brain cells. It's in like the backwoods, like no one would want to live there and all this bullshit. And then guess what? They go to your house and
Then
kick
they
your
get
ass. So
yeah.
I'm
No,
happy.
I did not. I was away this weekend, so I didn't see any of the prep for
Yeah.
it. But I'm glad that they clipped them. Sucks that again that was my sleeper pick. But if there's homer teams that I'm gonna pick up on, sorry guys, LSU is my blood, but NC State, App State,
Hey
and
man,
Duke and I think Wake Forest, I might be a little bit of a fan of nowadays because I'm down here.
App State is sneaky good, by the way, because last year they were a good team. I don't know if
Yeah, I
they
think they had
won
a
the
10-win
Sun
team.
Belt or they were very close to winning the Sun Belt, and they almost beat Miami last year. They've beaten good teams in the past, and they should be. I mean, they should be 2-0. That would be bananas if you have a 2-0 App State right now after beating UNC and Texas A&M. I love the underdog. All right, let's see. What do you want to touch next? Marshall, the Marshall Thundering Herd beating Notre Dame.
I think we're kind of over. I know I talked about it. It sucks Anthony Richardson down in Florida didn't show up when it comes to the UF Kentucky game. I'm an SEC guy, so like I'm always going to want to talk about those. But let's talk about the Cowboys. Excuse me. Sorry, Notre Dame real quick. Yeah, dude, like what when I say I called this, I called it. We are going to put America's college team on NBC every single week. And yes, I'm going off because I love the brother, Marcus Freeman. Do your thing down there as much as you can, but they are going to absolutely kill you. You cannot start off 0-2 at Notre Dame. And like you're losing games that you should not be losing. Like you lost to Marshall. We are Marshall. Like come on, man. Like that's just you're not showing up. Again, they're not the same Notre Dame from the past that like they'll typically get good recruits. Like everybody knew that Brian Kelly was leaving, so like it hurt them recruiting wise. And then they get this Freeman guy in here, like, oh, you know what? We'll try to do what we can. They don't have the athletes that they typically have. They definitely don't have the defense that they usually have. Starting off 0-2, that's going to hurt them substantially. Season's gone by the wayside when it comes to an important, January bowl. They're not even ranked anymore. So I called it at the beginning of the season. Again, they're just like the Cowboys, and we'll hit that one, as to how they showed up last night a little bit later. But yes, it's sad. It's sad, but not because they're just not a good team.
No, I love to see someone get paid $1.2 million to whoop your ass. So, well, Marshall.
Good job.
All right, and last one I think is I don't even think this is an upset really because it was two teams that were pretty closely rated, and I personally think Florida was a little fluky. I don't think they deserved. I think they were ranked 15 going to the game versus Kentucky, but Florida got upset by Kentucky, which I mean, granted they are similar. I guess you can call it an upset, right?
It's just because of the ranking, it's technically called an upset, but it's just the praise that Florida got from week 1 to week 2 because of their quarterback. Again, the 6'4", 6'5", wearing number 15. So what does that remind everybody that was a Florida fan of? We got another Tebow. No. Like it just, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. There was a lot of talk out of Gainesville, and it just when something like this happens, the historic prestige of Florida doesn't lose to Kentucky, especially at home in the Swamp. So that's why it's more of an upset because of what like comes with being a UF Gator, not so much their rankings and whatnot. Because Kentucky isn't really a good 2-0 team either.
No, there was a lot of hype. It was in a primetime game. It is what it is. I don't think either of those teams are going to be, competing for an SEC title. So, absolutely all right, that was a fun slate of college football this week. I'm sure the season will keep us on our toes. We'll touch back on college football, but I mean, despite how good the first week of college football was, which we just talked about, the second week that is, dude, the first week of NFL was absolutely bananas. If you're a red zone watcher, that hour this week had you just sweating.
He was on fire with that one, where wins become losses and losses become wins. I don't know what game you want to start off with, but I know which one I would love to. That's Cincy, bro. That's Cincy Steelers game. Oh, it's like nobody wanted to win, and more importantly, nobody wanted to have a kicker. My passion, and everybody in this world knows how much I absolutely hate kickers because of games like that where it comes down to a stupid kick, a field goal, or an extra point, and it just ruins the whole momentum of the game. Like doink off of the upright, or high snap, 30 yards left. Like it's just annoying. But that was an incredible game. You wasn't expecting Mitch Trubisky to show up like this. And you most certainly wasn't expecting Joe Burrow, injury or not, to throw 4 picks and have a fumble. Like I wasn't expecting that, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, I mean, he was under a little bit of pressure. Their offensive line has been an issue in the past. It was mostly the first half, really. I mean, I think he had 3 picks in the first half. It was tough for him. And then they lose T. Higgins, so they're down a weapon. I know they still have Tyler Boyd, but even by the time the overtime started, Tyler Boyd was on the sideline getting looked at. So it was a weird game for both teams. I don't know if I'm glad the Steelers pulled it off because I did love the Bengals run last year. I did want to throw this to you though. Do you know that the Bengals last year was the team with the most one possession wins in the
I feel
NFL?
like I do remember that being a stat because of Evan McPherson.
Yeah,
Because of he had like 5 or 6 game-winning kicks last season. A ton of like either game-winning or put them ahead, and the other team couldn't. Not like at the buzzer, but like the field goal that put them up.
and I guess my point in bringing that up is they were probably the luckiest team if you want to look at it that way, because obviously in football a bounce
One or the
it's a
other. Yep.
very odd shaped ball. It can bounce either way, and they just had the bounces their favor last year. I feel like this might be the writing on the wall for how the season might go for the Bengals. A lot of close losses, so we'll see. I think the Steelers will probably do the Steeler thing and finish 500 or better, like one game over 500, because that's just how Mike Tomlin rolls there. Their defense is still really good, although they lost TJ
They
Watt.
lost TJ. I
Yeah.
don't want to think about tearing a pec,
Oh
but
my
like
God. Sleeping.
just
Imagine
do
sleeping with
this.
that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just like do this, and just like all the meat that was right there
Mm-mm.
just ripped off the bone. That's when he said it, I was like, oh, I feel bad. Like brother, because JJ did the same thing. He tore his pec. Stop doing curls, man. All legs. Stop. You don't need upper body strength anymore. Just all legs. But I feel bad because he's one of, if not the most dominant pass rusher in the NFL when he's healthy. He had 22 or 20 sacks last season, and he played like 13 games.
Mm.
He would have destroyed Michael Strahan's record if he played the whole season. So I feel bad. Like you said, Tomlin's still going to get that team to be above 500 with Mitch Trubisky. They're not going to be like
It
a
was
threat or anything.
it was a creative offensive game plan. They did a lot of things with Claypool on the ground, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of interesting passes. They're obviously not going to rely on Mitch to win them games. They have a very good defense. They still have Minka Fitzpatrick on the defense to make plays. They're just going to do a lot of gadgety plays. I know they want to run the ball a lot with Naheem Hines. I don't know what his status
Way
is.
off. Najee Harris. You're good though.
Who the hell is that even a football player? Am I just
Naheem Hines? Yeah, he plays for the Colts.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different player, right? Yeah, so Harris got hurt. I don't know what his status is going to be going to week 2. I expect
Tweaked
the
ankle. I think he's good.
Steeler thing, yeah.
They'll be fine. They'll be, like you said, they'll be a meddling team that you don't want to play in the middle of December. An annoying team.
Kind of a not fun game that I actually found myself watching a lot of, because so my setup is this. I'm not a big red zone guy because I feel like I can't fully feel the game flow, right? Because it's just very like herky jerky. It brings you to red zone here. So you don't really get a feel for how the teams are like advancing up the field. So I do like the single game, the big single game, then 3 small games underneath it, so I can kind of like pop in and out. And my main game was mostly the Ravens and Jets. I know that sounds sad, but we are like the big pro Lamar Jackson show. That's kind of like what we're
I think that's you can kind of coin that now.
Yeah, we love Lamar, but pay the man. So I wanted to see after the contract talks broke down, how was he going to come out and perform? Was he going to? Because here's my thing, right? If I'm Lamar Jackson, I almost don't even care about wins this year. Like, I'm going to get my numbers. I need to perform. I need to earn myself some money. So I want to see like what his mentality was going to be. Really bad first half, and I was sweating bullets. I'm like, oh, not good. But great second half. And my big takeaway watching that game was A, the Jets are going to jet. They're just going to do the jet thing. And B, man, that Ravens offense, no weapons. Lamar was just under duress the whole time. No one was getting separation offensively for him, but he just found ways to. That's the thing about Lamar. He makes players around him so much better because he can buy so much time. If you're a shitty receiver, if he can buy you 2 more seconds, you can get open, right? Absolutely. If you're a shitty offensive lineman and you miss your block, he can avoid the miss. Exactly. So it happens so many times where he just extended the play and helped his teammates out. So even though you don't see statistically some of his greatness, the things he does on the field to make the guys around him better, it's amazing.
And that's what people will do is they'll look at the box score and be like, oh, you say that he's a passer, and look what he did. He was, I think it was 17 for 31. Yeah, 17 for 30. He only threw for 200 yards. So he's not a passer. And then you look at, like you said, the game and the flow of the game. You can see the laziness of Joey Flacco, who's just there to collect a paycheck. Man threw the ball 60 fucking times. That is ridiculous, by the way. 59, but like 60 passes in a game
this age
is ridiculous. But like just to keep it on Lamar, so like he's doing more than a normal quarterback should have to do to get his team wins. Like he has got Mark Andrews, obviously, but Mark Andrews is a great threat that can be stopped.
Yeah,
because he's not an athletic tight end. He's not Kelsey. He's not Gronk. He's not big enough to be like a Gronk. He's a great tight end, a very serviceable
in the middle of the field tight end.
Yeah, like give me the first down on 3rd and 4. He's that type of player.
That's valuable if you have outside help. If you can have somebody who can stretch the field on the outside, it's valuable to have that possession guy. But they really don't have that much help on the outside. They did have one big play. I forgot who was it Bateman who had
Bateman.
Yeah. I think it was a 55-yard touchdown. The last touchdown Lamar threw. I'm not gonna you texted me on that one and I was like, I watched that play back. It wasn't a very impressive play just because it was a broken coverage. I will say, we are pro Lamar Jackson. I was a little concerned with the accuracy in the week 1 game. It doesn't help that you're constantly moving your feet and you can't set. He did make outstanding throws off balance to make first downs and big plays. So it's typical Lamar Jackson. It's going to be unorthodox. It's going to look sloppy at times. He might miss a few passes here or there, but what he can do to buy you time if you have a shitty offensive line, if you don't have a great receiving core, it's unmeasurable. And also, I think they had a backup left tackle, and I'm sorry, he went down, so he's playing with 3rd string offensive lineman now at this point.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm glad they got the win. Like you said, it's not about the stats for him. For anybody that's got him as a quarterback, as your fantasy quarterback, number wise, yeah. You just, like you said, he's looking to just put his numbers up and stay healthy. That's essentially what his year is. If you can get 30 passing, 10 rushing from him with 10 to 12 turnovers, I think he's going to see that as a successful season, and then he's just going to get franchised at the end of the year. So.
And just by the way, so we posted this on our Twitter page, which I think it's at Frizz and Grizz. Kind of after the Lamar Jackson contract news broke. So essentially, Chris Mortensen gave the details on the Lamar Jackson contract, the final offer he received.
Oh,
so it's very
embarrassing is the word.
Well, it's embarrassing, but I want to say it's deceiving because the numbers the team reported was, I think, 6 years, $250, which is a huge amount, which sounds great. But when you dive into the numbers, only $133 million were guaranteed, and basically, to get those extra elevators, you have to do things like, win MVP every year. Like every time you get a certain accolade, you get a little extra money. So really all he's being given is that 133, which we broke it down by year. So that's 22 million a year, which you'd say that sounds like a pretty good chunk of change. I would like 22 million a year to play football, but then you kind of look to see what his contemporary are. Yeah. So other guys that were in that range of getting 22 million a year included Ryan Tannehill, who had 22, who would get more annually guaranteed. Carson Wentz would get more annually guaranteed. Jared Goff would get more annually guaranteed. So, if you really look into the numbers of that contract offer, you kind of see it's an absolute joke.
It's ridiculous. It's, like I said, embarrassing is the best word for it. Where those are the quarterbacks that you would say, oh yeah, he definitely deserves to be in that caliber for getting paid for what he does on a Sunday afternoon. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly, my feeling about that contract offer is that they didn't have any intention of actually signing him, but they were just trying to make a play to make face to the public to say, hey, look, we offered him $250 million. He's the selfish one, not us.
Yep. That's exactly what that contract is. Hey, like you said from the beginning, it's $220 million.
250.
250. Kyler Murray got a contract for $275. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
it's just not the same. It's not apples to apples. Again, they're playing with them. It sucks that he's there. Like you said, off air, the franchise tag is bullshit.
Oh man, don't get me started on the franchise.
I never realized, and this is for the old heads that used to play. I never realized in Madden, I think it was like Madden 05 or Madden 04, deep in the franchise mode, you could franchise tag people. But back then they had like player morale. And I was just like, oh, damn, I get to sign these people for $50 million or, $12 million back then. And it doesn't go against my cap. Franchise tag. And then morale would go from like full to like pissed. And I'd be like, why is he mad? I don't get it. Fast forward 20 years later, when you're an adult, like, oh, because it's the most bullshit technicality in the NFL. Why the hell do I have to play for you? Let me hit free agency. I provided my contractual services to you. Like, you shouldn't own my rights. We
The,
ain't property. Like, what's the deal with this?
the franchise tag's essentially saying this to a player, right? We know how much you should get paid. And we know we're not going to pay you that much, but we know if we let you go, someone is. So
You're staying
fuck
here.
you. You're staying here.
It's crazy, man. Like I said, I had no idea what it actually was. And now I'm like, this rule is bullshit.
Yeah, I hope he stays healthy. That's my biggest hope, is that he stays healthy this season and we can see a future with him. All right. There's 2 more games I want to touch on before we hit Frizz's 5. We'll make these next 2. Let's just go a little faster, just because Frizz's 5 is going to take a while today, and I want to get to the viewers. I know you guys are watching live. I just want to get your calls in a little bit. All right, so let's just go right into two that are very close to your heart. I'll start with one that you are going to plant your flag in for the rest of the time. 49ers, your boy Trey Lance. Did not Trey Lance. I know you're a big believer in the Trey Lance hype train. I will say, like, the conditions on that field.
I was gonna say that was gonna be my definite like rebuttal to it. Speaking off air with my father-in-law earlier today, it was a game that the Bears should have won. Reason being is it's so weird how in the NFL elements level the playing field so much. It's incredible how a very good team, if it's raining and against a very bad team, how close they will be just because everybody's going through the shit. And it looked like Chicago was just like, oh, it's just rain, whatever. Like, we're here to just play. And then like the 49ers without Elijah Mitchell, like he also went down. So like they're losing backs like this is ridiculous. But like Trey Lance didn't seem comfortable. Justin Fields, granted, he might not have had a better passing game, but he just seemed better fit for that style of game. Very sloppy. Let my defense win this. Let me not do something to screw it up.
I don't believe now you watched both of these athletes more closely than I do. I don't believe Trey Lance has the athleticism that Justin Fields does. Am I correct in that assessment?
No, he's bigger and burlier.
Right. So I think that sort of those elements kind of favor Fields in that position. It was literally like a flash flood on that field.
I loved it. That's like that's the game you play as an athlete. As a football player, I'm defense. Maybe not you. You fullback, so might not have, that would have been a no glove day for you. I would have loved it. Let me play DB, let me play corner, and I'm just gonna absolutely take people out and slide in some water while I'm doing it.
Side note, really quick. I have this memory every time it rains really hard about
a bubble. You talk about the bubble?
A former teammate of ours in a practice we had, and I don't know if you remember this, but there was one day where we're at practice, right? And it is downpouring the entire time. And it's like late in the season, so it's kind of cold out. It's downpouring all on the East Coast, and it was so cold that in New York City, it's snowing. But in the Boston area, it's just like that freezing rain. Everyone just hates life. No one wants to be there anymore. It's end of practice, and Matt freaking Brune is going absolutely ape shit, just like loving every second of it. And he's just like, give me more carries. And he's just like, he's just taking out defenders' role. Like, dude, chill the fuck out. It's like 5 degrees out. What are you doing? That guy's a psycho. I love Matt Brune, though.
Love Matty Brune. Chopper feet. That man would chop his feet so fast. But yes, I do remember. I thought you were going to talk about the bubbles that would pop up at Cressy. I don't miss that because of how bad the field was. Yeah, that just those water bubbles that like look like a pimple. You just got to push it down. But yeah, I miss those days. I do miss playing, obviously. But as a defender, that's the kind of game I love to play. Let it rain. Let it downpour. So all your prima donna wide receivers can't run your routes. And you don't have that advantage of like knowing the route.
That rain, it is real tough. All right, let's tell us the last game before we get into the Frizz's 5 and take calls.
Yes, sir.
A game that we have 2 different views on is the Saints versus the Falcons.
Yep.
Right, because I told you early in the season, you're like, hey, we're all right. We got Jameis. I'm gonna ride with Jameis, and I'm a OG Bucks fan. I was a Bucks fan when they drafted Jameis. I've seen the Jameis experience from start to finish. And I told you this is Jameis. You get good Jameis and you get bad Jameis. Sometimes it's from season to season where he has a good season, a bad season. Sometimes it's game to game. Sometimes it's half to half. And that's what happened this week. The first half, you had bad Jameis, and then good Jameis showed up the second half. And that's to me, that's not a good thing if you want to win football games.
Understandable. And the way that I look at it, again, I'll rep my squad. That's my team down there. Nolans for life. Who that? No, what you saw, at least from my standpoint, was first half Jameis looked like a guy coming off of an ACL injury. He was very tentative in the pocket. He was very hoppity. He's patting the ball, waiting for his receiver to get open instead of anticipating it. And for you to say, yes, he did that when he was in Tampa. He didn't tear his ACL in Tampa. Like, miss me with that, okay? Give him, for now, for what I see is give him the benefit of trying to get back to playing football at a fast pace. He didn't play any preseason. I think maybe a couple snaps. Get him back to playing actual football, and he'll be okay. And you want to know why? Because first half, no, not even first half, first 3 quarters, 10 for 18, I think it was 60-something yards, right? No touchdowns. Bigger factor, no turnovers. And then the fourth quarter happened where they were able to calm it down. You're losing. Look, you're already losing. Just go out there and grip it and rip it. And what do you do? 13 for 16, 200 plus and 2 TDs. Like, that's the Jameis. Just don't lose the game. I'll take 300 plus, 270 and 2 touchdowns with no turnovers over 500 with 3 touchdowns, 3 picks. Miss me with that. Like, that's what we need. I said it. We just need the Jameis to not get turnovers. Keep us in the game, and the defense will do the rest.
Like, I get your thought process on, hey, he's coming back from injury. He might not be all there yet. He's a little rusty. He looks a little jittery in the first half. But, man, I'm telling you, I've seen enough of Jameis to know, give him another year from this injury, give him 2 years from this injury. He's going to do the same thing. And I'll give you this. He didn't turn the ball over like he is known to do, but it's coming, man. It's coming.
He's got LASIK now, all right? So he can see.
Oh, he had LASIK last year, though.
No, sorry. And he went off. That's an awful take. At the beginning of this, they were 6-1.
He's going to Jameis. Don't worry.
He was 6-1 when he got hurt. They proceeded to lose, I think, 8 of the next 9 games. Like, he was part of, if not the reason. Look at the Pats game. Look at the Packers game last year. The Pats game, he single-handedly won himself, throwing touchdown passes that their DBs couldn't help on. And then he blew out the Packers. So, again, we in New Orleans do not want or need Jameis to go for 350 to 400 like Bruce Arians told him to grip it and rip it. Just go out there and chug it and duck. We don't need that. We need you to be between 250 and 300, 3 touchdowns, maybe 1 pick, but I'll take 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers, not even a fumble, just no turnovers, and just let our defense play, because the running game wasn't really there. Kamara was a factor, but nothing crazy. Ingram is still an old-ass Ingram. Jarvis Landry helped save the day, like a couple of great catches down the sideline. So, like, give me that type of offense, and our defense, they need to pick it up a little bit better. But I'm happy with it. A dub is a dub. There's no pretty W's or ugly W's in the NFL. At the end of the season, there's no beauty contest. There's no beauty contest to get into the dance. It's just what your record is.
That's fine. Like, I get why you're like, oh, a win's a win. Like, it doesn't matter, like college, it doesn't matter how you win. It's not about style, it's about just getting a W. But man, that's a bad Falcons team. Like, and also, man, Falcon. Like, they were gonna cough up that lead regardless.
They don't got Matt Ryan anymore, so you can't put that on.
The thing is, like, I get it. Like, you're like, oh, whatever, we start 1-0, but you can't feel good about yourself going forward if that's the team if you're barely going to be a team like the Falcons. You can't feel good about yourself as a legit contender. Like, maybe the Saints sneak in as one of those 3 wild card spots, but you can't be feeling good like, hey, we're a Super Bowl team. You're not going to be a Super Bowl team with Jameis. That's the thing. Like, basically, you're that team in the NBA that's perennially a 5 or 6 seed that don't really have a chance at winning the title, but will make the playoffs. And those teams tend to have to rebuild and tear it down. And I just think, while you'll have a potentially borderline playoff team in the Saints, you're not going to win anything with Jameis. So you need to find a long-term option there.
I love your bias against them because it makes it even better for my fan base down here. Keep up the hey, keep that same energy is what I'm saying. Keep that same energy. It was what?
It's earned. It's not like I just magically hate Jameis.
It's not the same. And we saw that with Sean Payton. You saw it with Bruce Arians. Like, that's a prime example. With Tom Brady. What happened when he had Brady the first 10? I don't want to go off on a rip on the Bucks, but like, what happened with Brady in that offense the first 10 games of that season? He was like, this isn't working. People were like, this is the laughing stock of the NFL for them to have these all-stars and they can't do anything. And then Brady was like, hey, team meeting, Bruce Arians, get the hell out of the offense. Let me run this. And then they ripped off like 10 out of the last 11 and won a Super Bowl. That's the difference.
But you're also championing Sean Payton, who's not even there anymore. Like
Sean Payton helped them, and Dennis Allen learned everything that he could from Sean Payton. If it was an outside hire, I'd be with you because I had my doubts. Outside coaches, whatever. You're just like, you know what? You don't know how they're gonna have the offensive scheme. Dennis Allen is literally just an advanced player to be like, advanced coach. Hey, come in, run the same style of schemes that we had when Sean was here. And we saw that. Granted, we'd love to see, Kamara pick up a little bit better, but like, I'm not in it for the fantasy points. We just need to win.
I just can't wait till week 6 where we're revisiting this conversation. And Jameis,
it will be every single week. I ain't gonna wear the sweatshirt every week. Just want you motherfuckers to know.
I'll be wearing my Bucks. I'll be wearing my Bucks jersey when Jameis starts sucking.
Yeah, make sure you got the Brady version on it too. Fair weather, I guess.
Oh, I got my All-Star in the back.
I'll go break out my Reggie Bush jersey.
He's the truth too. All right, let's take a break from NFL football for a minute because we were just going off for a good half an hour and that stuff. Let's get to the funnest, hottest segment in all of podcasting.
Prepare yourselves for the greatest and most unique segment in podcast history. Let's rank some stuff with D. It's time for Frizz's 5.
Woo!
All right. A very unique Frizz's 5 because the Frizz doesn't even know what he's ranking. So what I'm going to need you to do for me, D, get pen, get paper, get something to write on. I'm going to need you to take some notes. All right. So this week, I figured in the spirit of the football season, I'm watching the games and I'm enjoying them. And when that theme music starts, man, I get hyped. I'm ready for some football. And every network has their own theme song. So here's what we're going to do this week. We're going to rank top 5 network theme songs. So CBS, NBC, they used to be NFL Network that owned Thursday Night Football, but they don't anymore. All the networks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and rat-a-tat-tat all 5. I want you to kind of in your personal, your paper, kind of note down which ones you like more than others, and then we'll kind of see, which one is, what's your list 1 through 5. So I'll play a little bit. If you want to like talk through it, so we're not just playing music, that's fine. But I'll start with this one. This one hits. I didn't know about this theme song at first, but when I heard it play start to finish, I'm like, oh, this slaps. So this is the CBS one. This one I always think of like my local game when the Patriots are on.
Go ahead. Yeah.
All right, here goes.
See, this is good.
Wait for the end hits.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I always think of like the local 1 o'clock game when this is on.
That's it. And being the New Englander, you hear it before Pat's game, so it was on very often in a lot of people's houses. Obviously, it's good.
All right,
it's good.
You got to hit the end. The end is where it really slaps. This is where it gets you.
I know what part you're talking about.
I want to go play some football now.
I feel you. It's the ones that if they put goosebumps on the back of your neck, then I think it's a good track or a good theme. So we'll see what that one is. We'll see what that one is.
Every time I hear this next theme, I just think of the Cowboys because it's always the 4 o'clock game. Fuck you, Cowboys. Always Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
Yeah.
America's Game of the Week, presented by Fox. I feel like you know this one.
Yeah.
I feel it fit down.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't get much better, to be honest with you. It's not like
like I said, it's a good consistent, and we know how long the theme has been the same for a very long time. So it's got the traditionalism behind it. I'm pretty sure that was the same theme in the 90s.
Yeah,
I think it was with the Cowboys and 49ers, like Fox Sundays. Like I'm pretty sure that was, or even when they played on Saturdays, I'm pretty sure that was the same theme.
So we did CBS first, then Fox. All right. So here's another one. This one I always think of like either the Patriots or maybe Buccaneers because it's the night game. They always want the big teams, and historically it's been the Patriots versus whoever. Now it's been the Buccaneers, always at 8 o'clock. So obviously a little Sunday night football for you. It doesn't really hit. It's just kind of very mellow the whole time. It's Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth on the.
You bounce your head to it.
Yep. It's not. They lost Al Michaels, right? He's gone now. I noticed that.
Yeah, it's Rico. I don't know what happened. I don't know if it's like a Amazon thing. Is it really? Is he on Prime?
I think Amazon took Al Michaels. They took somebody big.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the Sunday night football. It's all right. It's whatever. It brings back some memories of big games Sunday night, but it doesn't hit. This is I don't want to skew you or your list.
I'm listening.
This is 5. This is my personal favorite because I just like get amped when I hear the first couple notes. You know what time it is? Monday Night Football. I like the subtleness too. Yeah, I like that. You can just kind of.
It's a nice jazz beat after a while. It like tones down.
I think of all of the NFL themes, this might be like the most recognizable one.
Yes.
Of all.
There are people that don't watch football that know what this sound is.
So we know how this
ends.
Like
an ESPN update. Yep.
The last one is the traditional past couple of years Thursday Night Football. This one actually low key slaps. Like it's pretty good. It comes hard at the end. Just it just kind of chills there for a little bit. Good start. I will say, if you haven't already checked it out and you're listening to the podcast, check it out because I didn't add it to the soundboard. So Amazon bought the rights to Thursday Night Football recently, and they created their own theme music. Holy shit, it's bad. It's so people are roasting them. It's so bad. It sounds like elevator music.
The one that you just had for Thursday Night Football, there was one before that they had to stop running because it was so annoying. It was bad. Like with the beginning of it, I was just like, dude, and they did it every time they were going to commercial, like the fade to black type thing.
Yep.
They would play just like the first snippet of it, and I was like, I hated it. I was like, I don't even want to watch Thursday Night Football because I know that they're gonna play that sound. So that's awful that they're they're
the new one's legit though. I like the new one. All right, so
I do.
It's not a lot of suspense with this list because once we get to 2, we kind of know what number 1 is because we only have 5 options in the Frizz's 5, so it's a little different than normal. So what we'll do is go 5, 4, 3, and then give me 1. So because if you say 2, we know what number 1's going to be.
I like that. Right.
So ready? So let's go. What is your I guess your worst of all the theme music? Number 5 for the NFL show pregame music.
I hate to say it because it sucks. I don't think you didn't play it the way that I wanted you to play it. We know the NBC theme, right? That one that you had. I don't like that. If you'd have played Waiting All Day for Sunday Night.
That's not their theme, though.
I know, but that would have been number 1. That track gets me so because it's always like something that's ready for the game. Like it'll be like Chris Collinsworth, like down the sideline. Like that stuff hypes me up when I hear it. But yes, like I got goosebumps right now. So like it sucks that they're number 5, but yeah, number 5 is the NBC theme. It's plain Jane. It's nothing too crazy. If you'd have hit me with is it Carrie Underwood? I think that's probably why.
It's Carrie Underwood. Yeah.
Waiting all day for Sunday. Like
we would definitely have copyright issues if we played that one.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. We don't want to get shut down. Please don't find us, Twitch. I don't need any remarks on my stream. I already get enough trouble for doing my personal streams. But yeah, definitely NBC. I would say so.
All right. Number 4.
The old heads may not like this, but I kind of gave it away when I started saying it. It's Fox. Fox really doesn't do it because it does just remind me of starter cap Cowboys hats. That's it. It just always reminds me of something. Niners versus Cowboys, Cowboys versus Packers on NFL Fox for networks. Like, it doesn't do it for me. That's usually the games that, like, the Saints are playing, the 4 o'clock games. So like it sucks that like that's the pregame. But like I usually don't hear it because I'm watching, the beginning of it on Red Zone, and then I'll turn to it on Fox.
I will say I'm glad that you have those two in your bottom. Those are my bottom two as far as the top three are pretty strong. It's hard to deviate from those top.
I went back
three,
and forth. Won't lie. There's some scribbles. If you could see it on camera, you can see that there's some scribbles right around this area. Trying to figure it out.
All right. What's your third?
You said go 3 and then 1. Okay.
3 and then 1. Yeah.
3 was a toss up. Won't lie to you because I was like, I like it. It just they do it right on the network because it's my favorite college football network. But 3 is going with CBS. The SEC on CBS is a great theme. Yeah, man, it's so traditional. It really is. I love it.
That's a good one. I like that.
It's just like it reminds you of college. It's just college band music. But for the NFL, I like it. It's just it sucks that it comes with the connotation of like my memories of having to watch the Patriots or some shit. It's relatable to that, and that for that reason, because I don't care about New England. I was just like, knock them down, man. You guys are number 3.
So then we have, but for number 1, where we have ESPN Monday Night Football, and we have the NFL Network's version of Thursday Night Football. So, what is number 1 on the Frizz's 5 this week?
Hit me up with that drum roll, please. It's the traditional one, man. Monday Night Football, man. Monday Night Football gets you ready. And you can hear Chris Berman in the back. It's Monday Night Football. Like
the Raiders.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's the Raiders and the Cowboys or the Chargers, because like that would be the game for Monday Night Football.
You Chris Berman. Whoop.
If you somebody whoop, just he took his ankles. Curtis, my favorite Martin. Like the old phrases that man would say. I miss, because of this theme, I miss NFL, ESPN, like football, like the video game, ESPN 2K football, because of this. Like this music was like Madden doesn't do it. You know what I'm saying? But like this is the theme of football. You hear this, it's the most known in the world. If you don't even watch football and you hear this, you go, why do I know this from something? Oh, it's because it's on every fucking channel when it's around.
It's definitely like the first 3 notes. Ready? That's it. Like when you hear those 3 notes, like football. Let's go.
Yep. Everybody goes, oh man, Dad's going to watch football. Like that's all you have to hear is dun, 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 dun. So yes, that would make it number 1.
That's an appropriate list.
Yeah, for number 2, it sucks they don't get as much shine, but it's the Thursday night. Thursday night is actually a nice little hitter. But if you'd have done not the, I'm gonna keep saying it, but like if you didn't do if you did the intro, not so much the theme, but if you did the intro, it was Sunday Night Football. Man, that track goes hard. I'm kind of mad that I missed yesterday because I was doing the dishes. So to get ready for Sunday Night Football, I missed it. I wasn't ready for Sunday night, unfortunately.
That was a fun Frizz's 5. It was different. It was a little unorthodox, but we had a good time with it.
To switch it up too, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but just to throw it out there for those that are listening via, right now, if you're watching and listening live and whatnot, we appreciate you. Throw in your top 5s, like anything. Make it as communicative as possible.
If you go on Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating. I know I'm like whoring for ratings, and give us a 5-star. Leave a comment and give us what you want for top 5, and we will guarantee we use it. Fair enough.
Guarantee. Is that Chuck? Guarantee. We're not even in basketball season. I'm ready.
That usually doesn't end up well for Chuck, though. I will be honest.
Hey, man, that's fine. He'll be all right.
All right, so we are going to jump into our last segment. We're going to open up the hot take hotline, which if you're not familiar, we did this last week. It was fun. It can be a little dangerous. We're taking live calls. We're going to talk about the Patriots. We saved that one for the end because a lot of our viewers are probably from the New England area, watch the Patriots, and they either love them or hate them. Growing up in New England, there's a ton of Patriots fans, but there's also a lot of people who equally hate them because Patriots fans, you can be annoying AF. So we'll see how this goes. You can talk about the game this week between the Patriots and Dolphins. You can talk general Patriots about your outlook on the season. And if you don't want to talk Patriots, we can talk to another game. There's plenty of games we didn't talk about. So hotline's open. We'll kind of filter people in as they call in. And I'll probably screw it up like at least once or twice getting them on the line because that happened
What I
last
would
week.
say is, hey guys, give us a break. We're still learning as we go. I think it might have been mentioned at the beginning, episode 6. So appreciate for everybody that's been with us since the beginning. But this is an incredible segment. I mean, I don't know how you want to start off with the Dolphins. I could get my 2 cents in with how, some information that I learned over the weekend, and it kind of played into tribute with the game itself. Tua did some Tua things out there. So we all know and we all expect the New England offense to not be as good as it used to be. Mac Jones isn't obviously Brady, and they just don't have the offensive weapons. Tua does. And Tua made some tough throws, and then Tua made some absolute dimes. Tyreek Hill is going to make Tua look like, in certain situations, godly, because he could just throw it up to him. Hill is not a Moss him type wide receiver, but did you see that one-handed catch he had? It just ripped up there, grabbed it, and then another one where he mossed the dude. 2 people caught it, and he just took it from him and was like, "Get off me."
He's going to make them better.
Freakish athlete.
The one thing that we know about Tyreek Hill now is that he can still probably flourish outside of that Kansas City system because he still looked every bit of Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins. And it bums me out that we totally glanced past the Chiefs stuff because we had a heated text conversation about Patrick Mahomes earlier and Tyreek Hill. But I guess we'll say that for another day.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, what you mentioned about like Tyreek will until, knock on wood, until something tragically bad happens where he does something to like a leg or a knee. I don't ever want that to happen, and I hate putting that bad juju out there. But he scares the living hell out of defensive backs. People, like, when he goes in motion, the fear that you can see of a DB that goes from being 5 yards off of him to like 10, because they're like, dude, I can't cover him. I don't know if he's gonna sprint past me or if he's gonna stop and run a hitch. And like that indecisiveness where it's reactive instead of just like, I guess, like what's gonna happen, instinctive. You're out of the game. You're out of the play. He's that fast. And you have to like decide like a fastball from a pitcher, 80 feet away in baseball, however far it is. I don't even know. Like, you don't know what his route is going to be because he's just ridiculously fast. It's scary.
All that being said, I feel like Tua was very mid in this game.
That's fine. I'm not a Tua fan. I just think he's. Oh, from what I meant to say about I can't remember what quarterback it was, and I wish I remember. We'll just say a reporter. Somebody hit me up on my line, an old quarterback from the NFL, that was talking about Tua's platform and how he throws. And I didn't notice it until I watched a couple of his throws in that game. He throws with a wide base. So everybody that like says that he doesn't have an arm, he's throwing these 50, 60-yard bombs when he can throw it with like his legs not in front of him. He takes like a right step and throws it almost like throwing to second base. And like, now that I'll put that out there, you'll watch that. It's not like it makes him more inaccurate. It just throws off his power.
His timing is a little
just
off.
Like, if he can, as an NFL quarterback, can throw 50 yards, 60 yards in the air and not have, the form that you're supposed to, imagine what could happen if he did. He'd be up there with like the Kyler Murrays for deep throws. Not saying that like Murray has a fastball, but like he's a baseball player, and he's just like his deep ball is actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like evaluating Tua in this game was very difficult because he didn't do a ton. He didn't do a ton to look impressive, nor did he make any horrible mistakes. And it was just a weird game. The only thing I know for sure is the Patriots offense looks like an utter
god awful.
Yeah,
I do not miss the New England sports radio talk, but I could only imagine how everything went today because of how bad they look.
Know what? So I'm up here and I've seen some of the stuff on the news and people chit-chatting, and I find it very interesting that after that loss, there's been a lot of chatter about, Mac Jones's injury. Like I feel like it's a very heavy Mac Jones's injured angle as almost like an excuse to. They're not saying explicitly it's a reason why the Patriots look so bad and Mac Jones look bad, but it's just a lot of focus on, oh, his back. Mac Jones is back. It's hurt. So I think they're trying to, that's kind of the narrative around here. I looking last year, I didn't think he was overly impressive. I think there's three ways you can have a quarterback, right?
Mhm.
You can have a quarterback who elevates your team, elevates the players around them, and does a lot of good for you. You have a quarterback who's going to not do anything great and exciting, but also not going to do anything poor, like almost like the traditional game manager. Then you have a
Yep.
quarterback who's going to be a detriment, who's going to turn the ball over, put you in bad situations. And I think Mac Jones, people wanted to put him in that first tier of guy who can elevate their team and you can win with him. I think he's more of the second tier where if things are right around him, he's not going to make a boneheaded play and he'll put the ball where he needs to, which is fine if you have great weapons around you. But that's not the Patriots.
No, not only that. So he's that second tier that you said because of his coaching. Like he was able to get a lot better numbers because he had Josh McDaniels, one of the best offensive coordinators. Like we saw what they were able to do with Devontae and David Carr. Wow, Derek Carr. I said David Carr. Wow, that's a throwback. But Derek Carr out in Oakland, this past weekend. Without him, they're gonna struggle. Bill Belichick will always have a team that will stay afloat. You know what I'm saying? Like their defense will be okay, and they're not going to be dumb to, have 5 turnovers in the game. They're not the Jets. But like you said, he's not going to elevate them into a winning categorized team. He's going to keep them very middle of the pack. They'll beat up on bad teams. They'll struggle with some of the higher end bad teams, and they'll get their ass whooped by teams that are better than them. And I'm not even saying that Miami is better than them, but they're better. They were better than them yesterday, and they got to deal with this type of game for the rest of the season now.
There's going to be a lot of teams better than them this year. It's just the fact of the matter, especially in that division. I like Miami over them. Obviously, the Bills. They're going to play a lot of other teams outside the division. That's going to give them trouble. I guess the biggest glaring thing is, in the off season, there was a lot of chatter about, who's going to be calling the plays. Do we have an OC in New England? And I kind of shrugged off like, it'll work itself out. But man, the play calling and design and just the offensive flow was so vanilla for the Patriots. They, back when they had Josh McDaniels, excuse me, he did a lot of things to scheme guys open for Mac Jones. And that's where Mac Jones really accelerated, was hitting guys on timing routes, slants, just finding guys in open space. And without McDaniels doing all that hand holding for the offense, it's just not there. The guys aren't free, running free, and there's really nowhere for Mac Jones to throw the ball. So we'll see what happens. I don't have high hopes for this Patriots team. They got Devontae Parker on the cheap for a reason. I believe I heard a stat a couple weeks ago where he was the lowest in the league with a minimum of like 100 snaps, and as last year as far as separation for a wide receiver. So he's not a guy who's going to get separation. And their other receiver, Jacoby Myers, is more of a possession threat. He's a bigger body guy. So for Mac Jones, being that timing passer, the game management guy, you want someone weapons who are just going to get open in space and you can get them the ball. It's just not going to happen. Oh,
yeah. One of the quick touch on points with Timmy drop off. Mac Jones, 11 out of his 20 passes that were completed were at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
that's
right, so
not going to open up anything.
We do have someone on the line. Just quick name, kind of general. You don't tell me exactly where you're from. Like, I live on 11 whatever street. Just like general area. I think I hooked this up right. So let's see if I have someone on the other end when I unmute this.
I'm my name's Sloan from where I'm.
Sloan is back. What's up, buddy?
Sloan is back.
What's going on? Here you guys are talking about the Pats, so that's good timing because I was just getting a little upset about them earlier. I've always been a Bill Belichick guy, but I feel like he did not have a good offseason at all with this team, and I think he's always trying to be the smartest person in the room. I think he's outsmarted himself the past couple of years. He doesn't ever pay for peak performers, and J.C. Jackson could have really come in handy yesterday against Tyreek Hill. And, we lost Kyle Van Noy. We don't have much help in the receiver department for Mac Jones. His line is not helping him out very much. So, there's just a lot of issues with the Patriots, and I think they're going nowhere fast.
So I've heard this floated around in many group chats, not with you, but a lot of angry Patriots fans since last year on the fire Bill Belichick. Can I get a hot take to fire Bill Belichick? Are we moving on from Bill, Sloan?
I mean, I don't want to move on from him, but I think he should be held a little bit more accountable from the ownership. I mean, it's what's Kraft doing? He's not saying anything. He said something when it came to keeping Brady, but he's not saying anything now. Like, what are we doing? We don't want to end up like the Red Sox with the Henry ownership team, like just not paying the studs and settling for mediocrity every year and trying to like get the most out of people who might just be scrubs. Like it's just driving me a little nuts. The team should be good, and yet every year we're seeing other teams that are contenders making big personnel moves. And what are the Pats doing? They're doing nothing. They just suck out there.
So Sloan, this is the hot take hotline, not the lukewarm hotline. I want
I said lukewarm.
Give me something spicy,
fine.
Patriots.
Yeah, let's get rid of them.
Fire
I'm
someone.
done with
No.
If they finish 2 games under 500, dump them.
You don't have to fire Bill Belichick, but give me something else. Like you obviously are passionate about the Patriots, right? Give me something's got to give. So what are we doing? Are we getting rid of Mac Jones? Are we firing Bill Belichick? Are we getting rid of Patricia? Are we getting rid of Judge? Let's make some rational decisions after one game.
Well, I mean, if that's a hot take, then I'm all over that. Get an offensive coordinator. Yeah, Joe Judge and Matt Patricia don't know how to run an offense. I mean, you got Ty Montgomery out there getting 33% of the freaking carries. When you got Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson, I don't even know what's going on out there. The only offense we ever saw was Ty Montgomery rolling into the end zone like some video game character.
Hey, man.
And you're getting smoked on a 4th down at the end of a half, like we've never seen a Bill Belichick team do. I don't even know if there's any heart or passion out there. So yeah, something's got to give. Yeah, I'm upset. It's one game, but how can you not be upset if you're a Patriots fan?
I would like to say I feel bad for Patriots fans, but
not a damn bit.
You guys have had it coming for a long time. It's been a long time at the top.
The honeymoon is over. The roller coaster ride has come to the end of the tracks. Make sure to tip your waiter on the way out. All of those euphemisms that people will use. Sloan hit a lot of great points. I love when he gets gets to call in.
Sloan, thank you for calling, buddy. We're gonna let you go. All right. Have a good night.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Love his points because he's raw. And one of the ones that he mentioned was the offense with Ty Montgomery. We talked the entire offseason of Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. Like, these are the guys that are going to lead the backfield. Ty Montgomery, a journeyman that is like a poor man's version of a poor man's Deebo Samuel, who's a poor man's version of Cordero Patterson. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wants to be one of those two, but he's not even in the same locker room as those two. And like, that was their main threat on offense. Not even to just talk about the defense. Kyle Duggar was talked up as like, well, yeah, he's great, man. He's a great defender. He can be defensive back and he can be a linebacker. We're talking about Kyle Duggar. Like, we can't keep, for New England fans and for even like the New England media, we can't keep talking up these guys that are not good to make it seem like they're good just because they're drafted by Bill Belichick from some
That's the thing.
Underperforming, college and university out of, Northern Iowa, and not even from Northern Iowa. Like, they're from like a D3 school in North Iowa.
The thing about Bill Belichick in his drafting success is I think that we became confused about chicken or the egg here, right? Because he drafts these guys that are not traditionally thought of as great prospects, and they become superstar players. You've seen it on the defense countless times. Tom Brady has done it. And we said, man, Bill Belichick is a fantastic GM. He sees the diamond in the rough. But then you constantly see these guys leave New England, leave that system, and just become average or below average. So
yep.
I really think he is a fantastic coach as far as X's and O's and getting guys disciplined and doing the right thing. But maybe we overestimate his ability as a GM. So, it would have been, imagine if he had a real GM drafting good players, how good he would be as a whole. But instead, he thinks he can do it all. And you know what? Keep cutting off your sleeves, keep making bad decisions, because me and D are here laughing at you.
It gets cold in the winter when you guys have a losing record. I have not from me, And I'm not even on this side because, again, I'm not there yet. I am there with the accountability that Sloan mentioned, but I'm not here. I just got a message, and he said, quote him if I wanted to quote him. We keep personals offline. So I'll say JA from the Northeast.
Well,
This man,
take hotline. I don't know where he's at.
This man just messaged me because he can't log. He's trying to get on his Twitch. He said he can't find the credentials to log in, so I'll try to help him out after. But he just said, "Fire Bill." This man,
send him this number. Send him this number, and
I'm just gonna tell him
to come call in, and I need the hot take before we leave today because we're almost out of time. We're pressing the clock. Someone from New England needs to fire Bill Belichick.
This is, I wasn't expecting that. He's a homer. There's a lot of homers that we all in New England. We know that this is going to be. We might even have to end topic almost like each month, each week. Talking about something about New England. But like, I'm not there. And again, I might be the biggest against New England, like that has left that area. I can't stand the Patriots. I'm not even gonna say hate because I don't. But I hated being in there around the last 20 years of this shit. But I'm still not there yet because I understand the greatness of Bill Belichick. That's why I can't say something along those lines. So I'm trying to see if you can get this man to call in. Yeah, it's on you though right now.
It's all good. It's all good. If he can't call in, we'll get him next week. I like the vibe though, the hot take vibe. That's what I was looking for with Sloan. He came with that lukewarm nonsense. But at the end, I think we got him riled up. So I did want to say Sloan did want to say that to check him out. He actually is a sports writer, so that's why he comes with the knowledge, trying to get the information. I told him I would give him a little shout out on the podcast. Sloan Paiva of Sporting News. So check out his columns. He does a lot of gambling and fantasy stuff. I think that's it for time today. We're getting a little close. I mean, we could keep talking forever, but at some point we got to end it.
Yes, sir.
So again, I know there's people watching now. They've been watching the whole time. We love and appreciate, seriously, from the bottom of our heart, all the continued support. Subscribe, rate, review. It's all we ask. Do those things for us. We'll be there for you every week, every Tuesday on the podcast, every Monday live. I love the live element. Good time. Mm-hmm. D, anything for the audience as we get out of here?
Don't just hit us up on Twitch live or whatnot. Like hit us up on YouTube, like Trudeau was saying. Reach out to us if you got anything on Twitter. Send in your messages. Try to promote this as much as possible. We're definitely the people's podcast. I love that phrase. We're just trying to make this as fun as possible for you guys to wrap up your Monday evenings. More importantly, you get your drives to work on Tuesday to have a little bit more fun.
All right. Peace out, guys.
Deuce.